My childhood friend told me the young emperor dislikes purple. So during the imperial draft, I deliberately wore purple all over. Unexpectedly, the young emperor's eyes lit up when he saw me. He turned to the Empress Dowager beside him and said, "Mother, I want her to be the Empress." I was so angry, thinking my childhood friend's intel was wrong. I chased him down and beat him up. What the heck? Didn't you say he hates purple? Why did he pick me? My childhood friend looked like he wanted to cry, but had he said, "Do you have no self-awareness about that face of yours? You would be selected even if you wore rags." Although I did not like purple before. I am not blind. After repeatedly confirming my name was on the selection roster, I almost cried myself to fainting on my embroidered bed. Everyone knows I did not want to join the draft. I secretly went to Kang Fuxu to discuss a countermeasure. I wanted to elope with him. We are childhood sweethearts. We grew up together. He would definitely figure something out for me. But I did not expect Kang Fuxu to say seriously, "Ailing, the draft is a national matter. It cannot be disobeyed. Besides, I have always treated you as a younger sister. If we just walk away, what will happen to the rest of our two families?" I looked at Kang Fuxu in disbelief. I did not expect him to say such cold words. Then I hit him playfully and willfully. "I do not care. You must find a way for me. I do not want to enter the palace for the draft." At that moment, I did not know where my confidence came from. As if I would definitely be chosen once I entered the palace. Kang Fuxu could not handle my pestering, and helplessly went to find out the emperor's preferences for me. Finally, Kang Fuxu told me. His Majesty dislikes purple. On the day of the draft, I dressed in purple all over. Even my hair accessories were purple. I looked at myself in the mirror. It actually looked quite charming. I was almost mesmerized by my own beauty, but at the thought that the emperor disliked purple, I would definitely not be chosen wearing purple. Hehe, I laughed out loud, but unexpectedly, the young emperor's eyes lit up when he saw me. He was almost entranced, muttering to himself, "A courtyard full of mediocre beauties. Only you are truly stunning." The Empress Dowager beside him asked, "Emperor Liangjun, what did you say?" The young emperor's cheeks flushed red. He turned to the Empress Dowager and said, "Mother, this sister can be the Empress." Everyone's gaze at the scene fell upon me instantly. The Empress Dowager stared at me for a while and asked, "Which family are you from?" I did not expect the young emperor to say that. I felt like crying, but I had to bite the bullet and answer the Empress Dowager. Replying to the Empress Dowager, "My lady, I am Wei Lan, daughter of Wei Xingji, the captain of the Imperial Guard." The Empress Dowager shook her head. "Only an 8th rank official. The family background is too low." After she said that, my eyes brightened, thinking there might be a turning point. I do not know what the young emperor whispered to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager reluctantly said, "Although the Wei family background is humble, it is a bit of a stretch to be the Empress. Then let her be crowned as Noble Consort." My world went black. I almost fainted to the ground right there. In the Imperial harem, the Noble Consort is the most honorable among the 4 consorts, second only to the Empress. Given my family background, even being a 3rd rank attendant would be aiming to high. The Empress Dowager just opened her mouth and made me a Noble Consort. This selection round selected for Imperial Consorts for the Emperor. Noble Consort Wei, which is me, Wei Ling. To 4th rank beauties, Consort Yu and Consort Feng, and Consort Feng. And 5th rank Lady Zhang. Because my rank was the highest, the Empress Dowager temporarily handed the authority of managing the 6 palaces to me. Every other day I had to go to the Empress Dowager's palace to learn. From managing property and money, to even the cats and dogs fighting, every little thing would fall onto my plate. I was exhausted to death. After I finally got the hang of it, and became familiar with the other concubines, Beauty Yu and Beauty Feng would often sit in my palace for half a day. They did not come empty-handed either. "Your Highness, Noble Consort, this is a sachet I made for you myself. Hanging it by the bed helps with sleep." Beauty Feng also gave me the knots she made. Since they did not come empty-handed, I could not go without sending return gifts. I could only grit my teeth and give each of them a jade bracelet as a high-ranking concubine. The return gift cannot be too cheap. Just with this return gift, more than 10 taels of silver were gone. The 2 were beaming with joy and had no intention of leaving. 2 living people sitting right here. I could not just offer nothing, not even tea, fruits, or snacks, right? I asked Zizi to bring out the freshly made snacks from the small kitchen and a plate of tribute chrysanthemum tea. These two were not polite at all, eating and chatting away. Oh my! Your Highness truly lives up to being the noble consort. The snacks in this palace are so delicious. And then they stared at me longingly. If you sisters like it, I will have someone send some to your palaces too. Thank you, Your Highness. Beauty You replied immediately, as if afraid I would go back on my word. Having given some to Beauty You, I could not leave Beauty Fang out. So I had to give away another 2 plates of pastries. Your Highness is so good, beautiful and kind-hearted. When they got tired of talking, they drank several more pots of tea. In the blink of an eye, it was mealtime. Since they were already here, I could not just not invite them to eat. I could only ask the small kitchen to add a few more dishes to host the 2 ladies. After a day like this, I lost nearly 20 taels of silver. It is really not that I am stingy. No matter how rich someone is, they cannot handle them coming every day. What's more, the Empress Dowager practices frugality. Even with my noble consort allowance, I cannot squander it like this. With all this back and forth, my money quickly ran out. It is all Kang Fuxu's fault. If he had not lied to me that the Emperor dislikes purple, I would not have been selected into the harem, and none of the following things would have happened. So I wrote Kang Fuxu a very long letter to ask him for money. Although Kang Fuxu was unreliable regarding the draft, he still had someone deliver 1,000 taels of silver notes to me. But I did not expect that somehow Talent Zhang would find out about this. She actually went and snitched to the Empress Dowager, saying that Kang Fuxu and I were secretly exchanging gifts and might be having an affair. The Empress Dowager kept a straight face and tore the letter to pieces. But she did not blame me. Instead, she said to Talent Zhang in disappointment, "My eyes cannot tolerate any sand in them. And I absolutely despise people who stir up trouble." Talent Zhang realized the Empress Dowager was displeased. She flopped to her knees to beg for forgiveness. Empress Dowager, this concubine was wrong. The Empress Dowager gave a light punishment as a stern warning. She docked Talent Zhang's allowance for half a year. Noble Consort, what is going on here? The Empress Dowager was majestic. I could only tell the Empress Dowager the whole story exactly as it happened. The 2 sisters often visit my palace. Over time, my finances became a bit tight, which is why I resorted to this poor plan. The Empress Dowager was speechless. She did not expect me to be as foolish as Talent Zhang. You are an imperial consort. You have completely thrown away the royal family's dignity. Even if you are short on money, you cannot ask an outsider for money. What would people think if word got out? Hurry and return the money to Kang Fuxu. This concubine understands. The Emperor happened to return to the palace from an inspection and witnessed this scene. He quickly helped me up. "Sisterling, are you short on money? I will give all my money to you." Seeing the Empress Dowager's displeased gaze upon me, I quickly whispered to remind His Majesty, "This concubine dares not let you call me sister. Although I am 3 years older than the Emperor, but he is the ruler. I am a subject. How can I let him call me sister? Even if he calls me sister, it should be inside the boudoir, an intimate matter between the sheets." The Emperor blushed, stiffened his neck and said, "Sisterling, I understand." After the matter was settled, the Emperor indeed gave me the key to his private treasury. "Sisterling, take whatever you want. Do not stand on ceremony." Now that I had money, looking at Beauty You and Beauty Fang again, they looked more and more pleasing to the eye. These 2 had sweet mouths and great crafting skills. It was just that when we gathered, we were always 1 person short of 4. How about we invite Sister Zhang over? Beauty You gave her a look. Actually, I secretly investigated Talent Zhang and found out she is actually a distant relative of Kang Muxu. It must be that Kang Muxu felt bad about losing the money and deliberately teamed up with Talent Zhang to pull off this stunt. A living person lying next to me, holding hands, hugging and all that. I keep feeling that something is not right. "Sisterling, you are so beautiful." The Emperor propped his head up with his hand, looking at me from the side. I was so embarrassed by his staring, my face blushed as red as blood. While I was wondering what would happen next, at that time, The emperor wrapped his arms around me and fell asleep. It went on like this for several months. I once secretly asked Beauty Fang and Beauty You about attending the emperor in bed. The two were incredibly embarrassed and would not say a word. It wasn't until I gave each of them a large luminous pearl that they scrambled to answer. We just sleep together. How do you sleep? I continued to press them. Beauty You was a bit more open than Beauty Fang and said, we just lie on the bed and sleep. Don't you hold hands or hug? Your Highness, what are you saying? How could such things happen? I almost fell backward. The emperor isn't just sleeping innocently with me. He sleeps innocently with them too, even more purely than with me, for most of the time every month. The emperor stays in my palace. As his favored concubine, I naturally wanted to seek some benefits for my father and brothers. I proactively hooked my fingers with the emperor's and said, Your Majesty. My father is still a lowly 8th rank official. His monthly salary is not enough to spend. Why don't you reward him with some money and silk? The emperor didn't seem to hear what I was saying. After repeatedly saying yes, he even tried to make me happy by letting me sit in the imperial study to review memorials with him. The emperor gets a headache just looking at the memorials. My surrogate father wants me to learn how to handle state affairs. I just find it boring. Sister Ling, please help me. The emperor begged me continuously. I thought about it. I could take this chance to get revenge on Kang Fuxu. So I agreed to review the memorials with the emperor. However, in Kang Fuxu's memorial, there were many characters I didn't recognize. The more I read, the more annoyed I got. Your Majesty, beloved subject King wrote so many uncommon characters that I do not even recognize. Did he do it on purpose? The emperor was just about to say he recognized them. But seeing my gloomy face, he said, Yes. Then how does Sister Ling want to punish him? I pinched my pen and thought for a while. Then punish him to copy the characters I don't know 1,000 times. The emperor's eyes wavered. Isn't that a bit too much? It is indeed a bit much. Then 500 times. Sister Ling, you are truly so considerate. The emperor's eyes smiled into crescent moons. In the government office, Kang Fuxu, after inexplicably being punished to copy texts, still thought it was just bad luck. But little did he know, this was only the beginning. Even though the emperor allowed me to attend court, I knew I did not have any great abilities. So I just sat obediently alongside the emperor. Major court affairs were managed by the regent, leaving matters to him. The emperor felt very at ease, but the regent would also let the emperor practice with some minor matters. The emperor would always seek my opinion first. Sister Ling, what do you think? I did not know either. But in front of so many people, I could not just say I did not know. So I could only bite the bullet and spout nonsense. The first one to hear that something was wrong was Kang Fuxu. Your Highness Noble Consort, this action is incorrect. I froze. The emperor also froze. As it happened, the regent really favored Kang Fuxu. From then on, the emperor and I often found Kang Fuxu an eyesore. We opposed him and tripped him up at every turn. It was either saying he was wrong about this, or saying he was bad at that. Of course, do not think the emperor was deliberately targeting Kang Fuxu. We also gossiped quite a bit behind the back of the regent. Of course, it was me deliberately targeting Kang Fuxu. After court, the emperor and I looked at each other and burst into belly laughter. It turned out that when Kang Fuxu came to court, his shoe solids were too slippery, and he accidentally took a fall. The emperor and I were about to laugh out loud right on the spot, but the regent glared at us. We forcefully held our laughter back. Ha ha ha. After court, we finally laughed out loud in a deserted corner. The emperor looked at me with that infatuated gaze again. It was actually quite embarrassing. Sister Ling, you are so beautiful. What is beautiful about me? Everything is beautiful, especially your eyes, which are so watery and bright. Beautiful when you are happy. Also beautiful when you are not happy. The emperor's words made my heart bloom with joy. Who doesn't like being praised for being beautiful? 3 years passed. The bellies of all the imperial consorts were still empty. In the first year, the Empress Dowager said, "No rush, the emperor is still young." In the second year, the Empress Dowager still said the same thing. "No rush, the emperor is still young." In the third year, the Empress Dowager got a bit anxious and called all 4 of us to listen to a lecture. For the imperial harem concubines, the most important thing is to bear children for the emperor to expand the royal lineage. Why are your 4 bellies so disappointing? We all silently lowered our heads. My head was lowered the deepest. At night, I subtly said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager wants us to have a child." Hearing this, the emperor, his expression did not change at all. "It is that simple. I will get one tomorrow." And then he pulled me down to sleep. I looked at the emperor. Does he not like me? Does he want to have a child with other concubines? At the thought of this, my heart felt sour and swollen. Very uncomfortable. As a result, the next day, the emperor directly brought the regent's 1-month-old granddaughter into the palace. "Sisterling, I brought a child over." My breath hitched. Looking at the chubby and fair baby girl, I did not know what to do for a moment. "Sisterling, Kawa is cute, right?" The emperor looked at me as if seeking praise. Just after praising the child for being cute, the child started crying loudly and peed all over the emperor. And at this time, Lady Li from the regent's family also entered the palace to complain to the Empress Dowager. Crying with tears streaming down, "Empress Dowager, Kawa is still so young. If there is anything my family has done wrong, I am willing to bear the punishment. For the sake of my father, please do not mistreat Kawa." After being made a fuss at by Lady Li, the Empress Dowager realized the emperor had caused such a huge disaster and quickly ordered the emperor to return the child. At this moment, the emperor and I knelt together at the Empress Dowager's feet, like kittens, not daring to lift our heads. The Empress Dowager did not make a sound, just skimmed the tea foam. It was the emperor who spoke first. "Mother, your son was wrong. Your son just wanted a child." It turned out that the emperor and the regent's beloved son-in-law, Lord Kui, were playing with crickets together. When Lord Kui heard the emperor wanted to hold a child, he said, "If your majesty does not mind, just take my Kawa into the palace to relieve your boredom." Only then did the emperor happily trot over and hand the child to me. The Empress Dowager was so angry she almost vomited blood. "I told you to get a child. Is this how you get one?" The emperor nodded, while I dared not speak the entire time. The Empress Dowager realized something was wrong and asked the emperor to step out first. Then she summoned Beauty and the others and asked about matters of the bedchamber. They all stammered and blushed. Only Talon Zhang kept her usual expression. Back when she was fined her allowance, she requested to move to the most remote palace. In recent years, we were not familiar with her at all. After some interrogation by the Empress Dowager, the Empress Dowager finally learned that all 4 of us were only sleeping innocently with the emperor. She almost passed out from anger. Where is the instructional matron? Before an imperial consort's first time attending the emperor, isn't there always an instructional matron to guide them? The Empress Dowager sent someone to summon the instructional matron. But when I heard the words instructional matron, I suddenly remembered something. When I first entered the palace, the Empress Dowager wanted me to be frugal with expenses, so I suggested to the Empress Dowager to dismiss some maids and matrons. Anyway, the palace did not need so many people serving. Might as well give them a sum of silver and let them leave the palace to reunite with their families. The Empress Dowager even praised me for being virtuous. I was proud of myself at the time, so I did not tell the Empress Dowager about dismissing the instructional matron. I didn't know the instructional matron had this purpose either. Sure enough, the Empress Dowager's people did not bring the instructional matron, seeing my guilty look. The Empress Dowager looked at me gloomily. "Noble Consort, tell me what is going on here." I originally wanted to tell a little lie, but the Empress Dowager hates liars the most. So I had to bite the bullet and confess. Wei Ling, you fool! Since I entered the palace, that was the harshest thing the Empress Dowager had ever said to me. My tears flowed out immediately. With tearful eyes, I looked at the Empress Dowager, feeling wrong, sad, and upset. I still wanted to explain myself a bit. But the Empress Dowager was the first to soften her heart. Never mind. You were also inexperienced. Back then, I shouldn't have just let you manage things either. I was just muddled by anger just now and spoke harsh words. Do not take it to heart. I sniffled, feeling touched, making excuses for myself. This concubine was also thinking of your majesty. The Empress Dowager became interested. Right. It is bad for the health. The Empress Dowager was speechless, clueless and ignorant. Beauty Yu and Beauty Feng looked full of confusion. Talent Zhang looked surprised. The Empress Dowager found new matrons. Beauty Yu and Beauty Feng blushed furiously. They secretly told me in private, Your Highness. This is not very proper, right? What is not proper about it? The two hesitated to speak and remained silent. They pulled me into Beauty Feng's small attic. Inside mysteriously hung a portrait of a handsome person. This is Guardian from the Cold Palace. Looking at their expressions, one immediately understood. They are as close as sisters. I did not expect them to have the exact same taste in men, but I am powerless to help with this. My two sisters. I have no solution for this matter either, but rest assured, I will keep it a secret. No wonder shortly after entering the palace, these two used the excuse of feeling unwell to stop attending the emperor. So there was this reason all along. Later, my relationship with the emperor grew better and better. He also stopped looking at other women. The Empress Dowager told the emperor not to exclusively favor me, and to look at the other imperial consorts in the prime of their youth. Although the emperor was unwilling, he still went to Beauty Yu's palace. Beauty Yu's brother had merit in fighting the floods. The Empress Dowager said this was a reward. I looked at the moon outside the window. I did not expect my heart to feel so sad, although I always knew the emperor was not mine alone. But before, we were young and ignorant. But now I can no longer deceive myself. The emperor is truly going to favor another imperial consort. At the thought of this, I blamed Kang Fuxu again. If he had not tricked me into entering the palace, I would not be feeling so awful. Just when I was feeling sad, someone patted my back. When I turned my head, I found that he had already arrived in front of me. Your Majesty, the emperor wiped my tears for me and said, Sisterling. I arrived at Beauty Yu's courtyard, but with every step inside, I thought of you. Do not be sad anymore. From now on, I will only have you, okay? I sniffled. How can you guarantee that? What will you do? I will go beg Mother to dismiss the other imperial consorts. I will also ask Mother to crown you as Empress. The Emperor acts on whatever pops into his head. He grabbed my hand and barged into the Empress Dowager's palace. The Empress Dowager was still sleeping. The attendants did not dare disturb her and did not dare stop the Emperor either. They could only watch as the Emperor and I knelt in front of the Empress Dowager's room for several hours. They all say the royal family is ruthless, but the men of the Z family are exceptionally affectionate. I heard that back then, the late Emperor, in order to marry the Empress Dowager, also risked universal condemnation and snatched the bride in public. Therefore, the Emperor did not feel that what he was doing was foolish. When the Empress Dowager came out, her head practically exploded upon seeing the two of us. She could not help but grumble inwardly. Why are these two little ancestors here again? The Emperor kowtowed to the Empress Dowager. Mother, I do not want anyone else. I only want Sister Ling alone. I want to make her my Empress. The Empress Dowager just felt her head spinning. What is this fuss about so early in the morning? After hearing the Emperor's speech, she finally understood. The Emperor wants to disband the 6 palaces. Nonsense! How can this be allowed? They all entered the palace through the imperial draft back then. If you dismiss the harem, how will they make a living in the future? The Emperor had already thought of a solution. I can give them lots and lots of money. Then let them change their identities and start a new life. What about the 3 years they wasted in the harem? Can these be bought back with money? The Empress Dowager looked at the Emperor in disappointment and asked the regent to come persuade him. The Emperor listens to the regent the most. Unexpectedly, at this time he would not turn back until hitting the south wall. He simply would not yield. Surrogate father, I only want sisterling, the Emperor cried as he spoke. I know you all think I am making a scene. But surrogate father, you will definitely understand me. When you love someone, it can only be them. No one else will do. I only want sisterling. I do not want anything else. The Emperor's words were not without reason. The regent had never married in his entire life. Rumor has it that it was actually for a peasant woman. The regent was moved for a moment. This matter is of great importance. Your Majesty, please stop messing around. After saying that, he wiped the Emperor's tears with his rough fingers. Surrogate father, I know I have been messing around all these years. That is because I know I lack the talent to govern the country. And I cannot empathize with the profound sentiments of the people. In civil matters, I lack strategies to bring peace to the masses. In military matters, I cannot recover lost territories. When my imperial father passed away, I was only 6 years old. Yet I was already trapped in this situation. He said that at best, I would only be a ruler who maintains the status quo. But imperial father and surrogate father had great ambitions. Neither was willing to settle for partial peace in Nanjing. So imperial father, on his deathbed, was willing to abandon the ancestral legacy and yield the throne to surrogate father. Only then would there be hope to recover the lost 16 prefectures. But surrogate father did not do so. Instead, you devotedly raised me to adulthood. In my heart. Surrogate father is not my biological father, but is better than one. Precisely because I have surrogate father, I could mess around for so many years. I also know, if I mess around a little, it is easier for surrogate father to handle affairs. And the civil and military officials will not object. But regarding Sister Ling, I am not messing around. I did not expect that this seemingly unreliable young emperor had actually grown up. He understands everything. Moved by the Emperor's words, he choked up and said, this subject will go persuade the Empress Dowager. With the regent's persuasion, the Empress Dowager finally relented and allowed Bidiyu and the others to leave the palace. But the matter of crowning me as Empress still remains to be discussed. The Emperor personally bowed and apologized to the 3 imperial consorts and gave them countless wealth. Since the matter started because of me, I naturally had to show some gesture as well. So I let Bidiyu and Beauty Fang go to my palace to take things. They could take whatever caught their eyes. Both of their eyes lit up. They asked in unison, really? Of course it is true. And then I heard them say, the red coral in Her Highness the Noble Consort's palace. I have had my eyes on it for a long time. And I like all those tea sets. The 2 went in and out, and almost emptied out my palace. Bidiyu added, Your Highness, I also like the little kitten in the palace. I pouted. This one is a no. Bidiyu let out a long sigh. Haha. After leaving Your Highness's palace, I cannot stand hearing you to say these words. With no other choice, I had to give in. If you like it, sister, just take it. Watching Bidiyu happily walking away holding the little kitten. That is my kitten. My kitten. It is all Kang Fuxu's fault. If it were not for him, I would not have had to give away my own kitten as compensation. The more I thought about it, the sorrier I felt. I am sorry, my little kitten. Sister Yu, I will trade you a fist-sized luminous pearl for it. Please leave the kitten with me. It is all I have left. Bidiyu smiled mischievously, then reached out her hand. Your Highness, do you still have any luminous pearls in your palace? Indeed, I had none left. But I wrote an IOU for Bidiyu, telling her to ask Kang Fuxu for it after she leaves the palace. Bidiyu and Beauty Fang left the palace smoothly. However, a hiccup occurred when Talon Zhang was about to leave. Talon Zhang is pregnant. I glared at the Emperor in anger. What is going on here? The Emperor also felt wronged. He obviously didn't do anything. Not long after, the Empress Dowager found out the truth. It turned out Talon Zheng had gotten together with a guard from the Cold Palace. Only then was the Emperor's innocence restored. The Empress Dowager asked the Emperor how to handle this. The Emperor and I exchanged a glance. Just let the two of them go. Suddenly, I was the only one left in the harem. It became much quieter. Fortunately, the Emperor often hung around with me. But the Empress Dowager could not stand it anymore and told me to advise the Emperor. The Emperor is playful. You need to earnestly advise him. The regent is getting old. The affairs of the court must eventually be taken back into His Majesty's hands. This concubine understands. Every time I nodded continuously like a chick pecking at rice. No matter what the Empress Dowager said, I would then relay it to the Emperor. Even though it went in the Emperor's left ear and out his right ear, but he was not entirely uneducated and incompetent. He also started studying how to handle government affairs very diligently. Another year and a half of spring passed since the late Emperor passed away, and after many years of rest and recuperation, now the regent is about to go to war. Before the regent left, he specifically instructed His Majesty the Emperor. Kang Fuxu is a talent skilled in both pen and sword. If there is anything you do not understand in the future, consult him more often. Do not target him anymore. The Emperor nodded and personally draped a cloak over the regent, his eyes full of reluctance. He continuously waved goodbye to the regent's retreating figure. Surrogate father, take good care of your health. I will wait for your return. After the regent left, the Emperor started learning to handle court affairs. There were indeed many things he did not understand. He simply partitioned a small room directly inside the Imperial study and made Kang Fuxu come over, working day and night without rest. Of course, the Emperor and I still rested when it was time to rest. Not many days passed. Wrinkles appeared on Kang Fuxu's face from exhaustion. Sister Ling, should we let beloved subject Kang go back and rest a bit? The Emperor felt a little bad and discussed it with me. When surrogate father left, he specifically instructed not to target him anymore. I took a sip of tea. We are not targeting beloved subject Kang. We are letting him contribute to the country. When the regent left, didn't he also say to properly entrust beloved subject Kang with heavy responsibilities? Look how obedient we are. The Emperor nodded. That makes sense too. Actually, it was just me deliberately targeting Kang Fuxu. Anyway, the regent didn't give me any instructions. When he comes back, if he gets angry, he will be angry at the Emperor. Of course, I don't think this is my fault either. Back when I entered the palace, I once asked His Majesty the Emperor, "Do you still remember what clothes this concubine wore during the draft?" The Emperor didn't notice what color you wore at all. I was only looking at your face. I put my hands on my hips in anger. I wore purple. Then I like purple too. My favorite color is purple now. Only then did I confirm that Kang Fuxu had lied to me. So he deserves everything that is happening to him. The snowflake-like memorials almost bent Kang Fuxu's back. At first, hearing that the Emperor and the Noble Consort valued him so much, he was deeply grateful. He even thought the Noble Consort had finally grown up. He had watched the Noble Consort grow up and truly treated her as a younger sister. But it seemed the Noble Consort had a tiny misunderstanding about him. But now Kang Fuxu was so tired he could not take it anymore. His eyes were almost blurring from reading the memorials. He realized the Noble Consort might still be targeting him. So taking advantage of the Emperor's absence, he went to the Noble Consort to ask for an explanation. Hearing Kang Fuxu ask this, my anger flared up, and I complained out loud. Back then you told me His Majesty disliked purple. I wore purple all over, but still got selected. Kang Fuxu wanted to cry, but had no tears, feeling he was wronged more than Doi, not even caring about the hierarchy of status anymore. Do you have no self-awareness about that face of yours? You would be selected even if you wore rags. At this moment, the Emperor silently watching the drama unfold said, although I did not like purple before, I am not blind. The Emperor handed another piece of watermelon to me, and only then did I realize I had wrongly blamed Kang Fuxu for years. So I carefully handed the watermelon to Kang Fuxu. Brother Fuxu, please have some watermelon. This subject will not eat. Kang Fuxu let out a long sigh of relief. This subject has not closed his eyes for 2 days and 2 nights. I was full of remorse, and quickly told Kang Fuxu to go back to sleep. Then I started blaming the emperor again. Did you not say you like purple? After saying that, I felt I was being a bit unreasonable. Whatever. I have been unreasonable so many times already. One more time will not make a difference. The emperor started coaxing me again. If I did not like purple before, was it not because I had not met Sisterling yet? Sisterling, do not be angry anymore. Eat some watermelon. Humph humph. To make up for my mistake, I grumbled and started flipping through the memorials. Although I often discussed things with the emperor, they were all minor matters the regent gave us for practice before, like which court official's dog bit which other official, or which official's servant abused their power. If the matters were any bigger, I would not know what to do either. But the moment these memorials came up, they were major issues like dismissing treacherous officials and reforming the imperial exams. The emperor saw my miserable look, frowned and whispered something to me. I was shocked. Then let's just leave it to Kang Fuxu. The Mid-Autumn Festival is approaching. I heard there is a lantern festival on the main street of Shangyan City. The emperor secretly took me out of the palace. While we were eating wontons at a food stall, we were caught right by Kang Fuxu. The emperor and I looked at each other awkwardly, chuckled nervously. Beloved subject king, what a coincidence. The emperor took his untouched second bowl of wontons and pushed it in front of Kang Fuxu. Do you like eating wontons too? I do not know why, but emanating from Kang Fuxu, both of us felt like we saw the shadow of the regent. Kang Fuxu said earnestly, "It is not safe for your majesty and the noble consort to leave the palace alone. After eating these, please return to the palace." All right. However, before we even finished eating, many men in black suddenly appeared all around us. Kang Fuxu drew his sword and blocked them in front of us. One person fighting against over a dozen men in black. You can do it, come on. Both of us cheered for Kang Fuxu with our mouths. But our bodies were desperately drilling into the wonton shop, yelling, "Run quickly." I grabbed the emperor's hand and ran far away in one breath, leaving those men in black behind us. At this time, the lone Kang Fuxu was surrounded by flashing swords, as if going through cell division. Chopped down one, and two more pounced on him. The dense crowd of enemies simply could not be wiped out. He looked back and saw nobody behind him. By the time we brought rescue troops over, Kang Fuxu had suffered severe injuries. The emperor personally applied medicine for Kang Fuxu to thank him for his grace of saving the emperor. Meanwhile, the Empress Dowager went to interrogate those men in black, under severe torture. Two of them confessed. They were from Baikan. Currently, the regent was at war with Baikan, and the spies within Nanjing City were getting restless and ready to make a move. The Empress Dowager was furious and sent people to conduct a thorough investigation. However, good news also arrived during this time. The regent had won a battle, and it looked like he was about to recapture Tokyo City. While Kang Fuxu was sick, the emperor had no one to rely on, and wasted away his days in the study. The two of us counted on our fingers hoping for his recovery. When will Kang Fuxu's body get better? When will the regent return? It seemed our sincerity moved the heavens. Kang Fuxu recovered very quickly. Not long after he could get out of bed, he returned to work. It was a double blessing. The regent captured Tokyo City and is about to return. Nanjing had never seen snow. Yet unexpectedly, snowflakes drifted down on the day the regent returned. When the regent's coffin was carried to the city gates, the emperor finally learned that although Tokyo was captured, the regent had passed away. The emperor could not believe it. He could not recover his senses for a long time. He personally went to the city gates to receive the army. Only then did the guard say, "The regent forbade us from leaking the news." Only when we arrived outside the city were the white mourning flags raised. The emperor's whole being was in a trance. Surrogate father is gone. From now on, I can never be a carefree child again. From then on, the emperor seemingly grew up overnight. He began handling both major and minor state affairs, and appointed the people the regent mentioned before his death to important positions. Before the regent passed away, he wrote a very long letter to the emperor, telling him how to govern the country, who are the usable talents, who harbors ill intentions, which matters are urgent, and which matters can wait. He also specifically recommended Kang Fuxu to the emperor, since Kang was personally mentored by the regent. At the end of the letter, the regent added one sentence. If your majesty wishes to crown Lady Wei as empress, then crown her. The emperor secretly told me before that he had pleaded with the regent that when he returned victorious, he would intercede with the empress dowager to make me the empress. The regent did not agree immediately, but he did not refuse either. When the emperor and I read the last sentence, tears rained down our faces. We both felt we were too immature. Actually, the empress dowager treated me quite well. Her refusal to let me be empress was not just because of my lowly family background, but because there was a rebel official in my ancestry, if we trace the lineage all the way up. My Wei family even produced a founding great general, and it is precisely because of my ancestry that the Empress Dowager did not agree to make me empress. If the emperor likes Lady Wei, letting her be a favored concubine is enough. The emperor knew I always wanted to be the empress, which is why he thought of a roundabout tactic to beg the regent. Now that the regent had just passed away, I could not bear to put the emperor in a difficult position. This is the first time you are so considerate. Your Majesty, it is all right. If I am not allowed to be empress, then I will not be. But you cannot crown any other woman as empress. And you cannot even look at another woman. Not even a single glance. Later on, the emperor gradually began to act like a true emperor. And I also gave birth to the eldest prince. The eldest prince was granted the title Prince right after birth. Wen Dalang was 4 years old and it was time to choose a tutor for his enlightenment. The emperor and I sifted through all the famous great scholars, but could not pick one. Meanwhile, Dalang just happened to inadvertently see Kang Fuxu in his official uniform with just one glance. Imperial father, consort mother. I want him to be my tutor. I like him. From then on, things spiraled out of control. Dalang would say Master King every time he opened his mouth. Even the Empress Dowager said, the one Dalang likes most is Kang Fuxu. Second is the Empress Dowager. Third are those books in the study. Fourth are various weapons. Unfortunately, the Emperor and I could only tie for 5th place. The two of us would even often argue about who was truly 5th, because nobody in this world wants to be the dead last 6th. The Emperor finally learned how to be jealous, feeling that Dalang was too biased. Fortunately, Kang Fuxu imparted all his knowledge and martial arts to Dalang. Not long after his schooling began, Dalang could compose poems, and his martial arts were also constantly improving. The Emperor looked at Dalang with gratification. Beloved subject Kang has taught Dalang so well. What else can I possibly complain about? Kang Fuxu inherited the regent's unfulfilled ambitions, and once again raised an army to attack Yojo. After fighting for 3 years, they finally recaptured the central capital. The Emperor made a decision to relocate the capital to the central capital. The moment he stepped onto the city tower of the central capital, the Emperor was finally able to issue a decree crowning me as Empress and making Dalang the crown prince. This year, the Emperor was 33 years old, and I was 36 years old. The 33-year-old Emperor already had some white hair at his temples. Being an Emperor was truly exhausting for him. The Emperor began to gradually hand over state affairs to the Crown Prince, and sent the Crown Prince to various places to observe the conditions of the people. In the year the Crown Prince turned 16, the Emperor made a scene one last time by abdicating the throne to the Crown Prince. The Empress Dowager initially did not agree, but seeing the Emperor's hardships over the years, she also took it all into her heart. Mother, I am mischievous by nature, mediocre and talented. Before, I had surrogate father. Later, I had Kang Fuxu. Only then could I barely hold on. Now Dalang has also grown up. He is more promising than me. He will definitely be a good emperor in the future. Ailing and I both want to rest now. I held Zi Liangjun's hand, silently supporting his decision. On the day of the Double Ninth Festival, the new emperor ascended the throne. Zi Liangjun and I laid down all our burdens and went off to travel and enjoy the mountains and rivers, because we too are inherently the type of hopeless slackers. Acting as fake diligent people for over 10 years almost exhausted us to death. Fortunately, Dalang is a capable one, managing the dynasty in perfect order. Kang Fuxu dedicated himself to the utmost for so many years, and finally became the prime minister. Below 1 person, and above 10,000 people. What a glorious sight. Zi Lianjun and I viewed the beautiful scenery of all 4 seasons. Mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas. It seemed like we returned to how we were when we were young. We even conveniently gave Dalang younger twin siblings. At 3 years old, they were extremely naughty. They almost tortured Zi Lianjun and me to death. Fortunately, these twins somehow got attached to Kang Fuxu. Leaving no time to pester us, Zi Lianjun and I packed our things overnight and fled, leaving the children to Kang Fuxu. Kang Fuxu in the Prime Minister's estate was tormented to death by the 2 children. Only then did he realize that back then, Zi Lianjun and I were actually too kind. Half a year later, the ever-so-nice Kang Fuxu uttered words of complaint for the first time in his life. You two only gave birth to these kids, but do not raise them. You two are enjoying a lifetime of blessings. Zi Lianjun and I were far away in Dongzhou, basking in the sun on a small island, perhaps feeling a bit guilty towards Kang Fuxu. Zi Lianjun decided to write Kang Fuxu a thank you letter. As a result, the first sentence was, Fuxu, the flowers in Dongzhou have bloomed. Come over and bask in the sun. Writing like this will make him feel even more unbalanced. Then how should I write it? I do not know either. After thinking for several days, Kang Fuxu received the letter. There was only one sentence on the letter, Dear Fuxu, the flowers in Dongzhou have bloomed. Come over and bask in the sun.